What's up, guys? This is my first instructional lesson on YouTube. I hope the first of many. Kind of feels a bit weird for me talking just to a camera. This is me doing it for the first time. So hopefully it's not too bad and I can do a few more, and hopefully I'll get better at it, and who knows, I'll be a children's presenter. So my reasoning for this video is because of a technique that I teach to my students, and quite a lot of the time I get some of them come back to me and be like, oh, I tried to YouTube what we were talking about in the lesson and there was a million different things, and some people were, there was a lot of conflicting information and I couldn't find any details on the way that you taught me it and stuff like that. So I thought I'm going to make a lesson for it because I think it could be beneficial to other people. This isn't the only way to do it. This isn't, this isn't strictly technically the completely correct way to play this technique. Jim Chapin teaches the official way, but this is a sort of Frankenstein version that I adapted from a version that Pete Riley taught me. So it's been passed down a little bit. I love it, I love teaching it, and my students love it, and I think it allows you to play more dynamic, more control, and faster. So, it's called the Moeller Technique. I'm sure you've heard it, and I'm sure you've heard a lot about it, and depending on who you've heard it from, depends on what you believe about the technique. Okay, some people teach it like a push-pull, okay? I don't, because I believe that limits your dynamic range of the exercises. Everything's quite loud. The way I teach it is 4 strokes. There's only 4 things to learn, that's easy. 2 loud, 2 quiet. Basically 4 different ways to hit the drum. The beauty about it is that at the same time as being a workout, it helps your technique, it helps your speed, your control, and as I said, your dynamics. And the great thing about it is you don't need a drum kit to practice on, you don't even need a pad to practice on it. I'm pretty sure you could get away without even a pair of sticks to practice it, because it's really about how you move your arms and your wrists. The reason I play this match grip is because if you think about your wrist, like moving like that, how it would in non-match grip or French grip with your thumb up, you're kind of limiting the dynamics of your wrist there, because in my opinion this is not the only way to play the drums, because if you look at that, there's only maybe an inch of movement happening, whereas if you play with your palms down, I don't have to tell you that that's a huge difference. So if you've already got that much dynamic from there to play loud and to play quiet, imagine what it's like when you move your arm in. My whole thing was I wanted to be able to play bang, bang, bang like the Hulk, but also play little tiny little baby mouse. A little mouse is playing the drums. Yeah, I wanted that gap. I wanted my ghost notes to be a little mouse, and I wanted a wrestler hitting rim shots. And this technique allowed me to do it. So we're going to start with the 4 basic strokes of Moeller. 2 of them are loud. In my version, 2 of them are loud, 2 of them are quiet. Okay, and we've got 2 positions that our hand can be in. Only 2. 4 things to remember, 2 places to remember. Easy, right? First position, you're up here, right? First stroke is called the full stroke. It's loud, it's an accented stroke. You come from up here, you hit the drum, you bounce straight back to where you came from. Right? And this technique teaches you to be nice and loose, because it's impossible to bounce back unless you're nice and loose. That's the full stroke. Easy. Next, we've got the downstroke. Okay, so you come from up here, same place, we've only got 2 positions. Downstroke. It's also loud. It's another loud stroke. You come down with exactly the same force. The 2 loud ones have got the same force, the 2 quiet ones have got the same force. They're supposed to sound, these 2 exactly the same loud, these 2 exactly the same quiet. So the downstroke, we're up in this position, the up position let's call this, and you're going in with the same force, and you're just going to squeeze the stick a little bit at the bottom, and you're going to end an inch off the head. Right? And it's the way that all of these 4 techniques mix together that allows you to play more dynamic, more controlled, with more speed, because they're all like some crazy kung fu drumming energy thing, right? So when I put that full stroke with the downstroke, what I'm going to do, I'm never going to stop the arm until the end of the down. So I'll do it in slow motion. It never stopped, other than the bit at the end of the down. It never stopped. If you think about, if I did the same thing but I stopped, so full, down, what I've done is I broke the energy at the top after the full. Which, if you think about it in this way, imagine you're playing basketball and after every bounce when you're dribbling, you had to grab the ball. So it's like, you wouldn't get anywhere. You wouldn't get anywhere with control, you wouldn't get anywhere with speed, you wouldn't get anywhere with power. You could do it powerfully, but it would, you know, people would be, it'd be rubbish, is my point. So the whole point of it is to never stop that energy unless you mean to, like in the down. Because of this exercise actually is more beneficial if you practice it painfully slowly, because if you think about it, more time in the air is more time that you could be already here and stopping early. So you want to go, even practicing it that slow, just getting the movement right. So we've got a full and a down, okay? So those two, nice and loud. And you can really smack them as long as you're ending about 1 inch off the head. So, onto the two quiet ones. The tap stroke, you're in this little down position, which is the end of that down stroke. As I said, we've got one position down, which is 1 inch off the head. That's going to be our baby mouse strokes. And we've got one which is up, the loud, 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 loud strokes. So, we're in that down position. We've done a full, we've done a down, and we're just going to do a tap. And all we're going to do is just tap with this wrist here. Just like that. You're not going to pull back to tap it, because that's defeating the Zen energy thing that we talked about. I think we talked about. So we've got the tap, it just comes straight from the wrist. There's no pulling back. We don't want to be wasting time or energy pulling back. There's no point, because we want it to be so quiet. But my reasoning for coming across this was I wanted, as I said, my ghost notes to be really, 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 really quiet. And I wanted my rim shots, my accents to be really, really, really loud. So I wanted to make them as loud and as quiet as possible. So we've got that tap. So the three of those together, we've done a full, starts high, ends high. A down, starts high, ends low. And we've got a tap. Next, we've got the money maker of the Moeller Technique, which is the upstroke. Okay, so you're in this down position, inch off the head, and what you're going to do, you're not going to think about hitting the drum. You're going to break your wrist. By that I don't mean literally just snap your wrist. I mean you're going to break holding so tightly on your wrist, and you're going to bring it up to your head where your full stroke comes from, and you're going to hit the drum on the way up. But you don't want to, you know, there's no bounce in that. We don't want to be going boom and then moving our hand up. The whole point of the upstroke is that it's a free stroke. Okay? Up. And it's supposed to sound like exactly the same as the tap. So the upstroke is what allows you to then get back into playing a really loud stroke straight away. Because you're up and then you're in the position to go really loud. If you think about somebody who didn't know this technique and you were tapping, playing something nice and quiet, and then you wanted to play something loud, if you didn't know about ups, in a split second you've got to go from here to here and then back down again. Whereas if you put an up in as the last little note, you've actually set yourself up to do the next hit. So this full down tap up is the best way to practice all of them and how they link together. So let's go and let's loop it. Pull, down, tap. Pull, down, tap. Pull, down, tap. I don't know why I'm whispering the up. Pull, because I want it to be really quiet, so I want it to be quiet as well. Pull, down. Really bouncing those fulls and the downs, and you're really tapping on the ups and the taps. Really quiet. So practice that. Make it so you're so used to it. So all I'm thinking about is bang, bang. And the two little tap ones are just an afterthought. You could do this without even a pair of drumsticks and it'd be beneficial. You might be thinking at this point, well, that's boring. That only works if you're playing two loud notes and then two quiet notes. Not so. The whole point of it is to try and develop this into your technique because of the dynamics and the control that it brings. If you think about the upstroke as being completely free, so out of those 4 strokes, we're only actually doing 3 of them because the up is happening anyway because we have to play it loud after it. So you can actually play that 25% faster than anyone who can't play with the Moeller technique. And eventually your body, you'll probably find it when you play a fast 16th note roll or something, you'll find your right hand or something maybe does a piston or your left hand, you're left-handed. That is your body's way of saying, oh, I need a way to make this easier, which your body sort of figures out the Moeller. But if you do a few exercises to work it into your technique, you'll find it really, really helps in all aspects of your playing. The other thing the up is great for is once you've built it into your technique, it's not like you have to think about it all the time. It's not like, oh, I'm going to do an up here. Once you've built it in, it allows you to get around the drums a lot easier because you're coming down onto them, up and then down. How many times you thought, you know, you played something and you go to do a fill and then you go bang and you go straight into your toms. Straight into your lovely see-through toms, and they leave marks, so I don't want to be doing that, so I want to come down onto them. How do we apply that into a two-handed technique? I'm going to show you 2. I'm going to show you how to do it in a single stroke roll with an accent on with a 1, which is, you know, going to allow you to play a blindingly fast single stroke roll with an accent, not just you know, tapping. We're going to play it. I'm going to get that back. I'm going to teach you how to do that, and I'm going to teach you how to do it in a paradiddle. And when I was always taught paradiddles, I was just taught, you know, in the first part of my drumming life, when I was a drumming baby, I was taught just right, left, right, left, right, left, left. And I never used it ever to apply it to the kit. It seemed pointless to me because it was like, well, where's this going? Right, that sounds rubbish. Where do I put it? It sounds like Fisher-Price drum beat. Do you know what I mean? So, there's a Moeller way we can do the paradiddle. If you don't know, a paradiddle goes right, left, left, left. So the Moeller for it, hopefully, not hopefully, definitely, there's going to be a PDF and there'll be a little link, probably in one of those little boxes there, something. Then you can download that. It's my lesson, this lesson, in a lot easier to understand terms than me waffling on in front of a camera. So, we're going to have the paradiddle, which is going to be written down on your PDF, on your tablet, or print it. And we're going to have a down for the right, and up for the left, and then 2 taps for the rest of the paradiddle. So, paradiddle, and then the reverse, paradiddle. Down, up, tap, tap, down, up, tap, tap. And really important, not to break the energy, not to go up, because it doesn't work. The whole point of it is the Zen kind of kung fu element, right? We need to get that. You'll find it makes a whipping motion, which is often what Jim Chapin talks about with it, which is like the whipping motion, which does come from the up. So this paradiddle, the down, up, tap, tap, down, up, tap, tap, sounds a lot more musical. You've got a bagga, dagga, 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 dagga. And because of that, you can move it around the kit a lot nicer. It doesn't sound like Fisher-Price drum beat. It sounds very dynamic, and you can play it as a killer groove because the taps and the ups become, if you've been practicing them right, become this tiny little baby mouse ghost note, and you're down massively loud, so you get a nice groove for it. So I'll show you some of that now. Okay, so first I'm going to show you the paradiddle on the kit as a groove, maybe some fills with no Moeller, so nothing at all dynamic. too great. So now I'm going to show you it with the Moeller. Down, up, tap, tap, down, up, tap, tap. So do you hear that it's a lot more dynamic, there's a lot more variation in the sound, and a simple paradiddle can become a cool fill. You know what I mean? So it's a lot more usable. It's not like, you know, it's not like when you do grades and it's just like, this is a paradiddle, play it really fast or whatever. Incidentally, the ups allow you to play this really fast if you want. If you're that way inclined, you can play it nice and fast. So even at those high speeds, you've got a dynamic in there, you've got those tiny little mousy little mouse strokes, but even real fast. So it adds the groove element into stuff. You've got those tiny little ghost notes, and you've got that big powerful backbeat. And I think that really lends itself to good dynamic drumming. So the next thing that we're going to do is just it in a single stroke roll. And we're going to go accent, non-accent, non-accent, non-accent. So bat, but, but, but. And we're going to do the right hand is going to go down, up, down, up, down, up. So only do this once you've practiced your full down tap up for ages. Let's say ages, you know, a couple of days of, you know, decent amount of practice on a pillow, on a pad, on a drum kit, anywhere. Maybe not on the drum kit because ba 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 is going to annoy everyone in the world. So, you know, you can practice it away from the drum kit. Once you've got a big understanding, like a good understanding of the way they all work together, then start on the paradiddle and this exercise. So we've got down, up, that's the right hand, down, up, and then the left hand's just filling in taps. Down, tap, up, tap, down, tap, up, tap, down, tap, up, tap. So what that's going to allow you to do is get that upstroke for free. Get a real nice dynamic in your rolls. You see, the faster I go, the more compartmentalised it gets, but because I started practicing them this loud, they're still pretty powerful when they get down to here. Everyone's a bit different. You know, your full stroke might not be as high as mine is, it might be like pretty low. But that's fine, as long as relatively you've got a big difference between those tiny little mouse strokes and your incredible whole strokes. Hopefully this has been helpful. If not, there's a thumbs down. You do the thumbs down button and you leave a comment like, your voice is silly, or I like your little beard. You know, put anything in there. If you don't like the video, tell me. If you do like it, thank you very much. Cheers.